Hey guys, and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about kettle finding optimization. So we've got Steph from Murphy & Son here to chat to us about kettle findings optimization. Steph, what is a kettle finding?
So kettle fining is a source of kappa carrageenan,
Okay.
and you can get it in either a semi-refined or a fully refined version, and you can get it as granules or tablets.
Yeah.
You add it in on the hot side and it helps to precipitate out all those sensitive proteins that can be an issue later on.
Okay. And kettle finding optimization, I know that's why we're here.
Yep.
Just run through what is the optimization side of the kettle finding.
So obviously it's really important to use enough, but it can also be detrimental if you use too much.
Okay.
So it's really good to set up this optimization trial, and then you know exactly which is the right dosage point to use.
Okay, so it's just getting the levels right and
Yep.
where to add. And then would you do that with every brew or every so many brews, or is it just...
I mean, in an ideal situation, you would do it for every recipe.
Okay.
And you would do it every time you either made a change to that recipe,
Okay.
or when a new season of malt comes in.
Okay, so it's really tweaking more to do with how the recipes are interacting with everything.
Yep.
And just trying to get that correct levels. Now just take us through quickly a kettle finding optimization and what the little steps are that you need to do.
Yep, so what you do is you start out with a 0.1% solution of whatever fining that you're using.
Okay.
So I would just take half a gram of that and boil it in 500 mils of water
Okay.
for 15 minutes. So that's your solution. And then you would measure that out into 100 mil measuring cylinders. So half a mil of that solution would give you 5 ppm in the end. And then to each one of those measuring cylinders, you add 100 mils of hot wort. So towards the end of the boil, just before you would usually add in your finings.
Okay, all right. So guys, we're gonna actually go into Mill Stone. We're gonna go in with Steph. She's gonna show us exactly how it's all done with some of the guys. So let's go in and check out how to do a kettle findings optimization. So Steph, we've got the optimization all set up, and this is a kit that you can get fully all the bits and pieces that you need there?
Yeah, I mean, the main thing is just to get these 100 mil measuring cylinders. That's the most important part. But yeah, if you can get a decent pipette, so you can measure accurately half a milliliter.
Yeah.
And then here today, I've also got just a little hot plate with a pan. It just gives you that flexibility. If you're not able to take the sample straight from the kettle to do your optimization, you could take it out and then reboil it later. So that's an option as well.
Okay, so yeah, that's quite a nice little plan. So
yep.
Awesome. So let's get into it. Let's do an optimization.
Yep. Okay. So we've reboiled the wort. I just added in a drop of refoam just to make sure it didn't boil over. So I'll be able to take that hot wort now. And put it into these 100 ml tubes. They're all already labeled up. So this one will represent 5 ppm of the carrageenan solution. So this has got already half a mil of that solution in there, and that represents the 5 ppm.
And what temperature do you need to get the water at? Is it just
boiling?
Okay. So
you just need it to be hot enough to open up those proteins again.
Okay.
Because this solution's already been boiled and it's 0.1%, it's quite easy to do.
All right.
When you're putting it into the kettle, we recommend at least 10 to 15 minutes, just to make sure those proteins are opened up properly.
Just another question, roughly how much water are you going to need to...
So I always take out about 2 litres when I'm doing the optimization. I've got 9 tubes here, so technically I only need 900 mil.
Okay.
But it depends on what your hop regime is in your kettle as well.
Okay.
So whether you've used whole hops or not, because that can take up quite a bit of room.
Okay.
So it's just nice to have enough so that if it starts settling out, you can kind of see what you've got.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so I've taken 2 litres here. you can see when it's freshly boiled that all that particulate is broken up into small pieces, and it kind of stays in suspension while it's still really hot as well.
Okay.
What I do when I'm doing the optimizations is I like to split it between 2 jugs and try and keep the liquid moving as often as I can, just to keep it as homogeneous as possible while you're splitting it up.
Gives it a kind of an even spread across all of
Yeah. So,
right.
because if you think while that's cooling down, it's also going to try and settle.
Yeah.
And if you don't keep it mixed and you start from the first tube and go to the last tube, then you've kind of forced less of that sediment to go into the end tubes. So it's just trying to keep everything the same.
Across them, yeah. Okay.
The other thing I do is I use the one that's going to be in my control to do all the measuring.
Okay.
So then I don't have to worry about the fact that I've already measured out my carrageenan solution into the other tubes. So you measure out 100 ml. Obviously be careful because this is hot wort. And then when you've got 100 ml measured out, put that into the tube that you've already set up with your carrageenan solution in it.
Okay. And again, how much carrageenan did you put inside each vial?
So it's half a ml of that solution represents 5 ppm.
Okay.
Once you've added the 100 ml of wort into it.
Okay.
So in this case, I've gone up to 40 ppm in 5 ppm increments.
All right.
And that should give you a really nice range. And you need to kind of think about the dosage rate you might already be using as a starter point of what you want to look at.
Okay.
And have you been having any issues with haze? So you might want to particularly look at lower or higher dosage rates as well, just to make sure.
All right.
So that's the worst of it now. So you've got your tube set up. The nice thing to do now while it's still really hot is to look and get an idea of what your hot break looks like. With these measuring cylinders, because you've got the graduations down one side, it can be a little bit difficult to see. So I always just turn them around so you can see what the hot break looks like.
Okay.
I give that about 20 minutes just on the shelf here. Take a photo of them to see what the hot break looks like. And then we immerse these into cold water for 20 minutes. And then we can see what the cold break looks like.
Okay, all right.
So yeah, we just need to leave that now and then we'll do the cold break.
All right, great.
Okay, so we left those tubes, it was hot wort when we put it in there, and we've just left them for about 20 minutes so that we can study the hot break before we submerge them in cold water. We'll leave them for 20 minutes again and then we'll see what the cold break looks like. For example, the tubes that we've got here today, I can see that the control looks most hazy and it's got quite large particles in it. That completely drops down as I go to 5 ppm, and then it starts building up again towards the end of the range of dosages that I've got here. So at the moment, the 5 to 15 ppm is looking most interesting on the hot side, but you just use this information to help you decide what's the best dosage rate when you get to the end of the optimization.
And would you chart this on a scale or anything like that, or for your recording purposes? How would you record this down?
So I would do a mixture of making sure you study it by eye and make a note of it, and also take a photo.
Okay.
The reason that you need both is in these tubes it's quite hard to see in a photograph the kind of nuances of those particles. So if you say on that day this tube looks like is the best, then you've got that written down as well. Yeah.
No words. All right.
Yep.
Great.
Okay, so I'm just going to transfer these into cold water now. For this, I've got a very technical bucket with holes in so that they can't overflow into the tubes. but that will reduce the temperature and that will cause that carrageenan protein to fold back up, and it'll take out those sensitive proteins out with it and settle out.
Oh, great. So yeah, thanks Steph for going through that with us. That was obviously, you were saying the hot break side, and you're going to leave it in there for 20 minutes?
Yeah, so 20 minutes so we can get the cold break now, and then we'll study that, make a note and take a photo.
Okay.
And then leave them on a shelf overnight, and so that they can settle out completely.
Okay.
And from that you can get the perfect dosage rate.
Okay. And then after that, you're going to just take that information for your next brew and you'll know how to, get your Kettle Finings.
Yeah, exactly. For the grist that you've used, for the water type that you've got, for the ratios that you've used, and also for the hops that you've added in, because they release more polyphenols as well.
Okay.
So that'll be the right dosage rate for that brew.
So there you go, guys. If you're looking to optimize your Kettle Finings, get one of these kits. The full kit is available on the websites. And if you're wanting to find out anything more, give us a shout. We'll point you in the right direction. That's it, guys, and happy brewing.